A new investigative report from our CBSN on Assignment series exposes the surprising truth about U.S. car factories. Eastern European workers are coming to the States to build the assembly plants. Visa fraud and immigration loopholes are driving this hidden workforce and putting Americans out of work. Here's a special look at Vladimir Duthiers' report.
It's America first. You better believe it.
Last April, President Trump signed the Buy American and Hire American executive order, pledging to enforce laws that protect American workers.
We believe jobs must be offered to American workers first.
But that's not happening on many construction sites at auto factories across the country. CBS News collected hundreds of photos of foreign workers bought in by foreign subcontractors from Eastern Europe showing off their construction jobs at BMW, Mercedes, and Volvo, and the visas that got some of them there. It's called a B1, B2, and visa holders are not allowed to work construction unless they're supervising a project, which is not what appeared to be happening.
They're supposed to be used for tourism or a sales meeting. They're not supposed to come over here and be in work.
Jay Palmer is a consultant and expert on B1 visa fraud.
Why train an American as an apprentice or teach him how to do electricity or plumbing? Is going to maybe be unionized and pay $15, $20 an hour when you could pay a foreign worker $4 an hour, $5 an hour, $6 an hour. Why do that?
Our investigation found getting through customs with a B1, B2 visa isn't difficult, if you know what to say. Tell me what you told him in English.
Hi, I work tomorrow for Tesla. I'm a supervisor. This is papers.
Gregor Lesnick worked for a Slovenian subcontractor on this construction project at Tesla for 3 months in 2015. He says he and other foreign workers were coached by their employer to tell customs they were supervisors. Did you supervise anybody in America?
No.
No. Describe the kind of work you were doing.
We
were working on the ventilation for the paint shop, he told me. We were installing pipes. CBS News found workers like Lesnick continue to come to the United States. Last week, a Slovakian worker on a B1, B2 visa posted this video of himself welding inside the Mercedes plant in Vance, Alabama. Palmer says it needs to stop.
It's putting people out of work, and it's driving down the wages of the American worker.
How can the United States fix this problem?
The B1, B2 visas need to be revamped. Any possible loophole needs to be closed. It needs to be completely closed and rewritten.
And Vlad joins me now to talk more about his report. Amazing undercover investigating there. How are the car companies responding?
They have all responded more or less in the same way, which is to say that they don't condone this and that they expect that their contractors and their subcontractors are going to follow the law. Look, we spent more than 4 months, myself and especially my producers, Emily Rand, who's an award-winning investigative producer here at CBS News, and Raina Ramirez, traveling to these different locations in South Carolina, in Alabama, ultimately in Slovenia and Croatia, to really talk to dozens of people, dozens of workers who say, this is something that on one hand they feel they're being exploited because they're making much less than an American would make, and that's part of the reason why they've got those jobs. And then the other hand, people who say, look, you knew what you're signing up for, you're an adult, this is what the gig is, and still they are willing to do it because they feel that even though they're making less than an American, it's still more than they would be making in their home country.
Is that the bottom line? I mean, because here they are leaving their countries to come all the way over here, and as you pointed out, cheap labor.
Right. It's funny. What's really fascinating about the investigative process is that you pull on a thread and you start to unravel the story, and usually you come to a story without any bias, but I did have a bit of a bias when it came to understanding why people were leaving Slovenia, which is a beautiful, vibrant country. It's a member of the EU. Ljubljana, the capital, is a wonderful capital, rivals Prague or Vienna as a wonderful city in Europe, and yet we found out that there was really high unemployment there, and some of the jobs that these guys were trained for were just hard to come by in that country, and that's why they chose to come to the United States. And you would think to yourself, I think Americans generally think when cheap immigrant labor is coming to the U.S., it's coming from Central or Latin America, right? They don't think that it might necessarily be coming from Europe, but the story is the same, just people looking for a better life, to make a little bit more money, to be able to send home to take care of their families.
In that last interview, you were asking the gentleman, how do you fix this? Is there a way to fix the loophole problem with the visa?
You know, I think it probably, it most likely starts at the legislative level. For example, there are certain visas that people can acquire to come and work in the United States, whereby the Department of Labor is heavily involved and investigates those visa requests. In this particular case, these visas that these men were coming into the United States on are not overseen at all by the Department of Labor, and that is where you've been seeing this exploitation of those loopholes.
Fascinating report, 4 months of work. Thanks so much, Vlad.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.